Hello everybody, it's Mike here at Game from Scratch, and today we are checking out RPG in a Box. And what exactly is this? Well, the name is very appropriate. It is an RPG creation kit. You could basically think about this as, say, the love child of Godot, RPGMaker, and Minecraft. Mix those three together and create your own game engine out of it, and you get RPG in a Box. Now, I actually checked this guy out. If you're familiar with this channel for a while now, back in March of 2018, I took a look at this. And I don't recommend you to actually watch this video. The audio in it is atrocious. But this is a video, this is an engine I actually covered earlier on. Now, the reason why I'm covering it again is, first off, it's built on top of the Godot engine, and it's built to use a more recent version, but more importantly, it was on August the 12th released to Steam in early access form. So if you want to, you can go ahead and buy this engine. So yes, this is commercial software. It's $25 US, I think, or $28 Canadian. You can see here it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It's strange that the Linux logo is the Steam logo. It is also available over on itch.io, and once again, you can see it is $25 US. So this is an early access release. It means there is more and more functionality coming all the time. There is also an alpha demo version that has some limitations of only 2 maps. Map grid size is limited to 10 by 10, and exported game show a splash screen. So still a pretty powerful or capable demonstration, but what we're going to do now is actually jump in and take a look at RPG in a Box in action. So here we go. This is what you get when you first launch it. Now again, this is built on top of the Godot game engine, so you're going to see a lot of similarities in the way things look. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a new game, and we're going to call it, we'll call this YouTube Demo. I will put this in temp as I always do. Actually, I have a subfolder in temp, so let's go ahead and create temp, and then we'll browse. Oh, it didn't do it. There, that sucked. C:/temp, and I want to put it in RPG box. Okay, select current folder. We'll create YouTube demo, automatically create a subfolder for it, and import content. And there's a ton of content that ships for this, which is really the nice thing about it. And this is what I like about a lot of beginner-focused game engines. The more assets they come with, the easier it is to work with. And here we are now inside of RPG in a Box, and everything you need to create your game is here. There are different ways of programming, of creating levels, of scripting. They're all here in different editors, and it's very straightforward and clean how it works. So right now, we are in a voxel editor. This is one of the more recent additions to this, and what it allows us to do is basically create characters or assets in the world. See everything in the world here? You can create them all in the editor. So go ahead, we'll open up. There's Justin opened up in the editor. You can see here, you get a full-blown voxel editor. Right mouse button to orbit, middle mouse button to pan, and of course you can zoom. As you saw, I accidentally drew some voxels right there. I go over here, we got our model tool mode. I can come down here and do erase, so we can start getting rid of those. We can also get into paint mode, so we can change the color of things. So for example, if I wanted to give this guy different colored hands on there, we can. And on top of that, there's actually full animation here. So you see we've got an attack, death, idle, interact, and walk animation. This guy will switch to the walk, and we'll go frame by frame through the walk animation, like so. And we can go backwards. So we can go forward a frame, we can go back a frame, or we can preview the animation. We got all kinds of different functionality and power here. So all the tools you need to create various different kinds of animations are available down here. So for example, we will need a death animation. Let's go ahead and play that, and boom, there's our character dying. So you've got all the tools you need to go ahead and create your own characters in here. I could come up here, and we create our own new character. So say, for example, I wanted to create a character called TIE Fighter. Go ahead and create it. We set our dimensions right there, and then click OK. Then what you're basically doing is just drawing in the world. So if we want, like, I have to do the TIE wings like so, I orbit the screen here. I'm in, like, box draw mode, so I'm going to just basically start here. Oh, actually, no, I'm still in delete mode. Model tools, let's go back to draw mode. I think that's it. Oh, so I was in paint mode. All right, so we're in draw mode of type box right here. And I'm just going to draw a box to represent my wing and go on down like so. Orbit to the other side. Now, I'm not actually going to do this in full detail, but you can see this is how you would go ahead and create a TIE Fighter. And then we could just do kind of here-ish. And we'll do that across like so. And now we could go ahead, say we wanted to carve out the circle. We could just start drawing out lines until we had the bevel we wanted. And that would be how you go ahead and create your TIE Fighter. Now, if you want to add a little bit of detail, for example, I got to finish this because I'm compulsively required to finish this. One more row. All right, there we go. So if, say, we wanted to draw our cockpit in there, you'd probably just want to do that via paint. So come down here. We'll pick a slightly lighter color. and we'll paint the faces to have our cockpit. And that is basically how you would create a character. You go ahead and save it, and now you have another TIE Fighter character available for use in your game. And it's the same thing for various assets to place in your game, or tiles to place in your game. And speaking of tiles, let's go over and demonstrate how Map Editor works. You notice here also there's an asterisk there. So you want to go ahead. It's interesting, because I thought I did save this. To a save all. Oh, I have an unknown. Let's get rid of this guy. Okay, so you see over here, we got the map editor, and I'll go ahead and open up the basic map from the demo level that's opened up. You could obviously go up here again and create your own map and do this from scratch. But here you see a map in the engine. I've selected this character by right-clicking. I can move around and place it. This is our player character in the world. You'll notice we've got different tools here show up for the map tools. So you come in here, you can edit, or you can add. So I can go here to, sorry, that's place. So I could, if I want to add a bridge to the world, I'm now in place mode, and I place a bridge in the world. It's really that simple. And then we got over here, connect. We got map properties, so we can do things like have scripts that fire up when it's loaded, after it's loaded. We can set background color type here, so we got black as our background right now. So if we wanted to have a more blood red look, we can do so easily enough. You can set the background music that plays when the game runs. You've got various different options for cameras. There are a standard and isometric style camera, and then you can set your player character. So if I wanted to have the player default actually be the TIE Fighter instead, I'm going to screw things up, I think, if I do that, though. So I'll just set that back to none. Again, you can change out your camera position, ambient light settings, directional light settings. It's very simple to set up. You see you've got pathing information. We come over here, map editor. You've got tools. You can control the grid display, the various different items in display. You can change your camera style. So if you want to have an isometric style camera, you can do so. Or you can have like a perspective style that we've got right now. You've got, yeah, I think that's basically it for map editing. Again, you've got your tools over here, and then you can go ahead, if you're in place mode, place an item. So we want to start putting things into the world, we can do so. Once we have something in the world, like we have this character here, I can go ahead. So we could edit this character directly back in the Voxel editor. So if we wanted to make updates to Sarah, we could do so. But you'll also notice with Sarah selected, we're getting details on it. So there's a dialogue attached to Sarah. We'll see dialogues in just a second. And over here, you see that we got this script. Oh, no, that's not a script. That's a script. So right here, this tile, which one? Yeah, there we go. So this entity has this script attached. I can go ahead, we can click it, right click, go to scripting, and then this is a quick script that's been attached to it. So now we're in the scripting language. You see here, very, very simple scripting language. It's their own custom language, but you click here, you get details on it. It is based on language by articles by Jay Conrad. The system is useful for creating quick scripts for tiles and objects in the map editor or script nodes in the dialogue editor. Very straightforward script, incredibly well documented right here. And we'll see a little bit more of it in action. But you see, very simple. It's going to display this message when you hit that particular tile. And you've got various different functions there. We'll see that again in just a second. So that is kind of the extent of how things work. Now, you'll notice up here, if I go into Game Explorer, we've got the configuration right here. And this is where you set up a lot of global settings. So here you've got, for example, the startup script that is fire. This is what fires, and I think of this as your entry point for your game. Here's where you set who your player character is. Again, here this script is going to fire off. So this obviously is very important. We'll look at that script in a few moments. You can also set some global properties here that are available. These are literally global variables. And you can actually have different translations to different locales. So if you have translations to various different languages, you can set them up and create them here. And then you've got other things like gameplay settings, like your default camera settings. You can set up your cursor. You can theme your user interface completely. You can set up how dialogues work, localization again, so this defaults out to English, and experimental features. There's nothing there right now. So we're going to get out of that. And we're back here to our level. So I mentioned earlier the script editor. Here is that startup script that is fired. You'll notice also over here in your hierarchy, you can go to your scripts folder and you'll see a number of them there. But we're going to look at the startup script. And this is the script that fires when your level is loaded. So all we're really doing here is when the game starts, load this map, overload, and set the player to this particular place and facing the south direction. And you'll notice we've got this visual scripting language going on up here, but you're also generating source code from it right here. So let's just quickly do a quick play, and we'll see our game in action. Sorry if the sound blares out at you. Let me just drop that down too, just in case. All right, so this is compiling and loading our game. Hopefully I didn't break anything with my playing around. All right, so here you see we're in our game. Go ahead and do a new game. Obviously, you can customize the title screen and all of those things. And here we are in our game world. I can walk over and talk to Sarah. see Sarah triggers this dialogue out, and you can prompt and go with it. You got a little inventory system up here, and yeah. So what I'm going to do is go on back here to this script system, what you saw here, and what I'm going to do is add a couple of values. So when we've got it going on here, you'll see here in script tools, we have both tools here. So here's where I can add new commands in. So if we wanted to start a battle system, we could have it look at a certain player. So you've got things: move player, play animation, put players in, put inventory items, and so on. Set the dialogue, all those things that you would need to do in a typical role-playing game. And obviously this is very accessible to a non-programmer. So what I'm going to do now is just display message like so. You see it triggers out, and it's going to display the message hello world. So now you just saw our code generated out. So we got load map, and it loaded it with the coordinates and so on, and we're displaying the message. I could have also added more code here and typed it directly as code if I so wished, or I could change this value here like so and apply it, and you'll see it updates up here. So if you prefer to use just a straight up coding language, that is an option, but it's a very straightforward and easy to use system. I'm going to go ahead and save it, and then hopefully we'll go ahead and quick play. See, our game loads up. So it's compiled the game, loading the game. I'm going to go new player, new game, sorry. And then boom, hello cruel world. So that is how simple the actual programming interface is here. And it's very, very quite powerful. On top of that, you can do full dialogue. So remember when we bumped into Sarah? Well, here you can see this dialogue tree, a very common thing in RPGs where you have, condition on, did they give the coins here? Does the player have the inventory item of this? If so, play this logic. So you've got your full RPG style dialogue system in here that can trigger off the different variables and events and so on. You can create new trees. So you've got a full dialogue editor here, and you've got the nodes over here that you would use to control your logic or your scripting or this tree here. And again, we got editing tools over here. We can change out the names of each particular thing, and then you can change the value here. So if we wanted to, we could click the expression wizard editor over there, and you see here's how you bring together your conditions. So the self properties coins given, we could make it a global from the global variable values if it's true or not. So this is where you bring your various conditions in for the dialogues in the tree. So it's a really powerful tool there for creating and generating dialogues. Next up, we have UI. So if you want to theme out and change your UI, you've got options here. Now it's just the default out of the box, so you got to go ahead and create your own using these tools here. I'm not going to cover the themes to much more extent, but if you want to create your own themes, for the themes, the main menu edit, as I mentioned, you can edit that out yourself, so you can change out the background image and the stuff that displays on it. And then your credit screen, you can change them out as well. So that's where you theme your UI so it doesn't look the same for exactly every single game. We got an item editor here. So we've got various different items in the game. And then we've got a combat editor. And combat editor is built on a hierarchy of things. So if you've got your game, if you want to have combat, you bump into someone, you can call it War of the World. So we just added a battle. Now we're going to add some enemies into the world. Slimer. So we added a new enemy. We'll go model, and we'll make that a red slime. And we could add another one. Oh, and we could pick what kind of loot they drop, but we haven't created any loot. So let's create some loot. Loot. And the item is gold coins. So we've got slime that can now drop loot. And we could add another slime in there. Blue slime. So, and create it. I don't have a blue slime, so I'll create a purple slime, and then it drops the loot as well. And then what we do is drop our slimes there. So we now have, when this combat starts, these two enemies will be in the battle, and you can pick how many. So you can say fixed, or we could have random, and we could have between 1 and say 5 of these, and then you can pick where they spawn from random tile or random tile in group. So you can set groups back here in the map editor, and then this will fire off in the tactical turn-based mode, in the dungeon or overworld. So you could have created a new map called battle map, and then you could pick where the player spawns as well, and that is your battle. So now you can trigger that off back using code if you so wished. So let me just save that quickly so that it exists. So let's save that, and then we'll go back here to the script editor. So for example, if after we displayed hello cruel world, we wanted to kick this guy over into a battle, go here to editor tools, and then it's not end battle, it's start battle, I think. Start battle, there we go. So drag that into the world, And then we click battle is War of the Worlds. So as soon as our message is displayed, boom, that battle will fire and off you go. And kind of that's the extent of it. And the cool thing is there's a couple things else built into here. This is based on SFXR. I was going to say BFXR, which is also based on FXR, but this is a sound effects generation tool, so you can have it randomly create sounds for you. I'm not going to press play on any of these things because I don't want to blow your eardrums out, but this is a way of creating set sounds. So if you want to create a laser or explosion, okay, I did blast your ears out. Sorry if that hurt at all. But you can, and then you can randomize the different values that went in to generate them or the waveform. And then when you're done, you can export out your sound. So it's got a built-in sound effect editor. And then even cooler is there is this built-in importer. So if you need music or models, you can get them from the community, or you can, I believe you can also share them out to the community, but I'm not sure the specifics of how to do that. So for example, if I needed an astronaut for my game, there is someone has already created an animated astronaut, various different tiles, and so on. So if I needed a bat, let's say I wanted bat02, I go ahead and import that, import it successfully, and close. So we come over here, and there you're seeing we now have bat2 that we can go ahead and use. So if we were back in our map editor, and we were in place, oh, no, which one's place? Place. All right, let's go in place mode, select bat, and drag it into the world. So there we have bats in our particular world. Yeah, and that's kind of it. And another cool thing I'll show you while we're here. So we've got here, you can see there's that dungeon entrance, and it's firing off a quick script. So let's go take a look at that script. And this is how you're going to link different worlds together. So we're an overworld map. We've also got a dungeon map, which I'll show you right here. So you see this dungeon map is also in the sample. So we're in overworld. You'll see you've got this box here. You click it, it fires off quick script. And that quick script, let's go ahead and look at it. And we'll edit it, and you'll see obviously it plays the stairs sound and then loads the map dungeon. So that's how you would string your various different levels together. On the whole, a very polished system. Even though it's still in early access, there is a ton of functionality here. And then, of course, there is documentation. And everything is actually quite well documented, including the scripting language. So if you want details on the scripting language, on all the various different tools we saw, on the conditional expressions we saw earlier on, or the expression builder, everything we saw here is documented. On top of that, there are some tutorials on getting started. Basically, a lot of what we just looked at here is available in pure text form. And then, like I said, linking maps, like I just showed you right there. This shows you how to link multiple maps together. So everything you really need to create your game is here. Then when you're done with your game and you want to actually, share it with someone else or sell it or whatever, just come up here to export game. You pick the platform you want to export for, like so. You pick the location and then click OK, and it will build your game and you can share that executable out. Unfortunately, there's no mobile targets yet. I don't know if that's something that's coming in the future or not, but it's definitely something I would like to see going forward. But really, that is it. This is, once again, now available on itch.io and on Steam in early access form. It's, again, about 25 bucks, built on top of the Godot engine. It's a very cool project, one I've had my eyes on for quite a while. And if you're looking for like an alternative to the RPGMaker type games, RPG in a Box is definitely looking like a viable competitor, as long as, of course, you like the art style that it works with. But as you saw, it's got all of the tools that you would expect built in there. There's full-blown scripting and dialogue trees and level editors and animation editors, and pretty much everything I can think of that you need is there. So this is definitely a product I recommend you check out. And once again, there is a demo version available. It's got all the functionality you saw here. It just really limits you to only 2 maps and very small maps at that, by 10 by 10 in size. But it still gives you a full idea of what you are getting into. So that is it. That is RPG in a Box, a freshly released to Steam and itch.io game engine that I, again, have had my eye on for some time and will continue to have my eye on. I'm interested to hear what you thought of this particular engine. And if you're not using something like RPG in a Box and you're creating it using an RPG Maker style application, which one are you actually using? I've covered a few over time, and I'm interested in hearing which ones interest you the most. All right, that's it. Talk to you all later. Goodbye.